This story is known as Dark Entity of My Past by X Akuma X. Let me start off this story by saying that my mother's side of the family has always had a bit of a psychic gift, including her and myself. We have both had several encounters of different natures, but none will compare to the one we had together. My mother was married to her then husband for a very long time. We had lived in his house, and for a while things were okay. It seemed that things went bad after the new millennium, though. As the years went on, things got worse. At first it would be just joking around, but then verbal abuse and even harsh physical abuse. As time went on, this continued. This is the only explanation my mother and I have for what we experienced. In the house around the time of 2005, we had both started getting very weak and very depressed. But being that we thought that we both had jobs and worked, we thought nothing of it. As the feelings increased, we knew something was there but did not know what, so we ignored it. I had a bunk bed in my room, and one night, while I was sleeping on the bottom bunk, the cord to my radio got ripped out of the wall. I stood up to plug it back in, as I was half asleep and thought one of the cats did it. However, when I tried, it would not fit. I turned my light on and the prongs were bent, which would not seem so odd except both prongs were bent inwards. I lay back down in bed starting to get scared. I turned on my back and on my top bunk I saw a shadow figure. I could not see its face at this time, but I could feel it watching me. I did not sleep at all that night. I told my mom about this and she said she had seen the same figure. After getting sick of being depressed all the time, we saged the house, and for a month or two that worked. Then one night while I was laying in bed, the same thing happened to my new radio. The cord was ripped out of the wall. This radio, however, also ran on batteries. So I put the batteries in and said something along the lines of, "Can't beat me now, can you?" I realized at this point it's stupid to antagonize demons. I turned my radio on and it gave out a high-pitched scream, like a woman in agony. I quickly turned it off and literally jumped to my bed. I knew it was watching me, but I did not wish to look up. Eventually, curiosity got the best of me, and I did. This time I could see it. It had gray skin and long silver hair, a mouth that looked like it had been stitched, but the stitches were removed. And even though I knew it was looking at me, it had no eyes that I could see. Simply dark holes. I told my mom what it had looked like, and she didn't like the sound of it. Things were a bit repetitive after that, depressed feelings, etc., etc. Then one night while I was in the living room, I looked to the computer room, and in my peripheral, I could see the thing with its bony fingers on the back of my mom's chair. The second I actually looked at it, it looked at me and smiled, but didn't even open its mouth. Then it disappeared and reappeared on the steps, walking into my room. I slept in the living room that night and told my mother why the next morning. We saged the house yet again and tried to be more bold and stern. Again it worked for a few months, but as I was sitting in the living room one night, I started to get the feeling again. I look over to the staircase, and it was there looking at me with that smile again. It was different this time though. Now the thing had appeared to be at least 9 feet in height. I saw all of it. Other than the face, it wore a long dark silver cloak, and it had no feet. Again it walked towards my room, and again I slept on the couch. During this entire time, things did not get any better with my mother's husband at the time, so I believe that it is what made the entity stronger. One day as I was home alone, I woke up and walked downstairs. I felt a harsh push on my back and fell down them. As I stood up, I looked to the top and saw the thing standing there. It smiled at me, but didn't say anything, although I could hear it in my head, and it said, "Watch your mom." At the time, I didn't know what it meant. Since I was home alone, the reason I was home alone, too, was because my mom had knee surgery to repair her ACL. So she stayed overnight at the hospital, and her husband was in a different state altogether. I returned from school the next day, and I find my mom with an ice pack on her knee. This was unusual because she has a very high tolerance to pain. I asked her what happened, but she didn't want to tell me at the time. I told her what happened to me on the stairs, and she looked at me for a moment. She didn't say the same thing happened to her that day, although she caught herself halfway down when she fell on the stairs earlier. I no longer feared this entity. I was angry with it. It had hurt my family, and that went too far. I planned a day home alone and started shouting at it from the top of my lungs, telling it to leave, that it was worthless. I was red in the face and out of breath, and the only thing I got in response was a dark, chilling laugh. Writing this now, I still get chills about it. We resolved the problem by moving out. Being that it was an abusive situation, not to mention the dark entity, we knew it was the best option. My mom and I found a new place to live, and in time, she got a new boyfriend. I, however, was not convinced it was gone. I started having dreams at the new house, where I would see similar dark figures, but never the same one, never twice, until one night I actually woke up and walked in the kitchen. I turned the light on and there was a dark figure who had hung itself. However, the house was only 2 years old, and there had been no deaths whatsoever. My mom's boyfriend, who was very supernaturally inclined and very powerful, talked with me, and we got rid of the thing. We found out it had attached a piece of itself to me before we left. However, once my mother's boyfriend at the time helped me, I haven't had a problem with it since. Sadly, he died of heart attack, so he's in a better place now. Thank you very much. If you enjoyed these stories, leave a like down below, leave a comment if you have any feedback for me, and yeah, I hope you guys have a great day, and remember, next story is a true story. It's called Thieving Critters by Maggie Maynard. Today is the 30th of April, 2018. On the 29th, I was spending the night in my hotel about 4 hours drive from my home. I'd driven out 6 hours, replaced 3 motherboards and 2 LCDs, and driven back towards home about 2 hours later when I found myself fighting the urge to close my eyes. While driving at 80 miles per hour, that is not good. I stopped at my favorite hotel, the one I'd stayed at that Monday. I stayed in room 106, first floor facing the front, so I could keep an eye on my parts-laden vehicle. I stay out of town a few times a week. I have my laptop and a go bag with everything I need. Check-in is a routine. I bring in my bag and my laptop, pull out my jammies and put them on in the bathroom. Then get out the clothes I will wear the next day. I roll my clothes, so I simply unroll them and hang them up in the closet. Then I set up my office, order dinner in, and complete my paperwork while I wait for dinner. Something I don't do is watch TV. I don't even touch the remote. It is exactly where it was when I leave as when I arrive. My laptop is stored in a thick, durable OtterBox for laptops. Attached to the handles is two small nylon bags. One stores my AC adapter and power essentials, and the other stores my mouse and mouse dongle. In with my AC adapter is a dark blue lightning cable and a bright pink 10-hour secondary battery for my e-devices. When setting up my office, I plug in my laptop, open it up, and while it is booting, I plug in my secondary battery into the charging port on my laptop, using the pink cord. Then plug in my phone, using the blue cord, into the charging port on the secondary battery. They are all daisy-chained together in a nice pink and blue display across the desk. As much as I'd like to say the colors are because they're pretty, it's not the reason why. The different colors make the cords easy to see from across the room, and I can know at a glance if everything is plugged in like it should be, and because they're pretty. After a quick trip to the bathroom, and making sure my room was deadbolt locked with the bar slide secure, I settled down to get stuff done so I could get some sleep. 14-hour workdays are a pain, especially when they start at 5 a.m. My routine went like clockwork. I set up my workstation, iPhone charging away, secondary battery maintaining its charge. My paperwork went well closed and updated in normal time. Dinner was, well, delicious. I had a great meal of chicken and pineapple fried rice, sizzling beef, and crab rangoon. I even got a free order of egg rolls. I was overfed, logy, and not inclined to do any more than breathe. As I was beyond beat, I decided to forego the jacuzzi tub that was letting out its siren's call of hot bubbling nirvana and went with a quick steamy shower. I crawled into bed with my jammies clinging to my still damp skin, and with a quick glance at the daisy chain of pink and blue, because, it sucks if your phone dies and you miss your morning appointment because you overslept because the alarm didn't go off on your dead phone, fell into a heavy sleep. 4 hours later, I woke up with a start, certain I'd heard a couple of men talking. Almost immediately, I wrote it off as someone in the hall or outside the hotel talking. I was thirsty and had to use the bathroom again, so I got up and automatically checked my electronics with the lightning fast, not expecting anything wrong, checking out of habit glance. I was taken aback to see that my blue cable was missing. I don't mean unplugged, fallen, or anything like that. I meant gone. It made me pause, but I had to pee, so it's hard to wait. The bathroom gave me serious OMG and WTH feelings. I try to be a very consistent guest. I use only the towels I need, and I put them back in a pile in the corner of the bathroom when I'm done. I even throw away the soap so it does not slime the shower or tub enclosure. I'm also female and have no need to lift the seat of the commode. I flipped on the light to the bathroom and took a couple steps back. All of the towels were strewn around the room. The trash can was knocked over. The soap I'd used earlier was laying in amidst the towels instead of in the trash, and the seat to the toilet was up. My first thought was, OMG, they gave someone else a key in my room, and I slept through someone coming in and taking a shower. But I mentally rejected this thought, even as it bloomed, because I remembered using the sliding lock bar and deadbolt. No way someone got in through that without me hearing them. I relieved my urgently shrieking bladder, then just to be doubly sure, checked the door. Still in the locked state I'd left it. That's when I realized that my visitor didn't likely need a key. I got a bit exasperated and snapped to the room at large. Really? You gotta be a dick? I ain't your mama. And I set about tidying up. When I finished in the bathroom, I came back out and saw that yes, indeed the cable was gone. I had the distinct memory of it being there. I recall checking how much battery I had left. I recall the chime it gave when I plugged it in, and I remember checking the lightning symbol when I plugged it in. Before dinner arrived, it was at 62%. After dinner, it was up to 87%. The battery was drained down to 66% when I checked it again, finally. It had been off the charger a while. Damn, I need that cord. Give it back. Of course, no cord appeared, and I spent over half an hour searching every inch of that room. No good, so I called down to the desk and asked if they had one I could borrow. They ran a standard white lightning cable right down to me. I plugged it in and was very firm when I addressed the room. Mess with it this time, and I break out the sage and salt. Wasn't kidding either. I carry both in my car. Never know when you're gonna run into something that needs its butt smudged. My cable never made a reappearance, and I never heard the men talking again either. Asked the clerk at checkout about the guys in the room next to me. She said the rooms on either side of me were empty, which is actually one of my stated preferences, so it wasn't really a surprise. On my preference card it reads, first floor, no neighbors if possible, not because I'm unfriendly, but because sometimes I'm up to nearly 3 a.m. to get on the road, and no matter how quiet I try to be, I know I can disturb some people's rest. The cable did not show up in my car, or in my luggage or laptop case. I'm a afraid has crossed the ether. Well, I picked up a blue and silver one to replace it. I think I'll request that room on my preferences from now on. I'm gonna work on getting my cable back. Bratty thieving critters. Just to be safe, I think I'll be bringing up sage, salt, and candles in with me. Anyone have any other suggestions or theories about what that could be? So do you believe in ghosts, goblins, demons from hell itself? Please leave your feedback in the comments down below and leave a like if you enjoyed this video. And if you have any feedback for me, feel free to leave it down below as well. Thank you very much for listening and have a good one.